Hey, Topping Life Math and History, and we are going to take a look at the inflation. So, when you think of inflation, or when you inflate something, you probably think of this. But that is not really inflation. That's just inflating a balloon. But there is a correlation. When you inflate something like a balloon, it gets bigger, bigger, bigger. But if you have inflation, that is the same thing, but the prices with money keep getting higher, higher, higher. So we are going to calculate the inflation of a Roblox game. The formula is the price now, subtract that by the price then, divide that by the price then we have to multiply by 100. When there's inflation, something usually gets bigger, 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 and the price gets higher, higher, higher. So, as time goes on, the price gets higher. So that's why we have to subtract, then divide, then multiply by 100, because the inflation rate, we are going to get a percentage in our answer. But hang on, how does inflation start in the first place? And what usually causes it? Well, in this case scenario, inflation has a lot to do with the government. There are two examples that we're going to show you that has a lot of inflation. The first one is World War II, and the second one being Venezuela right now. So, World War II, when Germany lost the First World War, they had to have a lot of money being fixed with all the damages in France, because Germany damaged a lot of buildings in France, and France blames them for starting the war. The problem is, they didn't have enough money. So during World War II, when Germany started building up their artillery and their military, and Germany was a dictator state, they thought that the more money they make, the more money and the more problems they can solve. But as the money increases, and since Germany was a country that has their economic system as money printing, it actually had the opposite effect. Therefore, the more money they print, the more inflation they got. So technically, if you lived in Nazi Germany during World War II, no joke, but a slice of bread cost about 300,000 marks, or 300,000 is $4 in the US right now, or close to 50 cents back then. So technically, people didn't get enough money so they could even barely get even bread for their house. This is bad because the currency is basically useless.
What's his name? What's his name? I got nothing on a name. Come on, baby, what's the name? We threw out his name!
Another example happens in a country called Venezuela. Venezuela is located right here. The problem is, they did the exact same thing in Nazi Germany during World War II. So, Venezuela realized that they had a lot in debt, and they also realized that they needed to make more money because the inflation was very, very high. So, as they kept making more money, the prices of things started to rise even more. So with Venezuela, the more money they make, the more inflation. So they think it's solving the problem, but actually it's causing the problem. So Venezuela's inflation rate right now is 97.5%. America in 2019 was 2.1%. So compared to America versus Venezuela, they're crazy. So I think you guys understand that if someone makes more money by printing, there's no effort, causing the inflation to rise. So let's go with the math part. With the formula that we taught you earlier in the video, we're going to use an example of a Roblox game that has a giant inflation rate. The game is called My Restaurant, and it's a game where you make your own food in a restaurant and sell it to customers. But there's something called the stock market, or aka the auction house, where you can sell objects to people around the world. But it's based off of how much money they earn and how much money they can sell it with. So, what I tried doing in the game is some of the stuff that you can get is you can get holiday stuff, rare stuff that will help you in the game get enormous boosts, but they cost like a lot. For example, I wanted to get something from the Halloween update in the game, and it was a coffin. It brings in scary customers into the game, and they help you get tons of cash. From the global market, the average price of a coffin was $50 million. But today is insanity. The thing is, the price of a coffin in the game now costs like $486 million. We are going to calculate the inflation rate of the rise from that to that. And going back when we talk about people making more money and the government doing so, the reason why this happened is because around July of 2022, the guys who make My Restaurant, they added in a 3 times multiplier for cash. They thought it was going to help bring the prices down, and they thought that buying stuff from the auction house or the stock market is going to be a bit easier. Well, if they did that, therefore, the prices are going to go up. It's insanity. You can't buy anything there anymore. It's too expensive. Let's plug that into the formula. So we have 486 million, I'm going to write M because there's not really enough space. We have to subtract that by 50 million. Then we have to divide by 50 million. Then we have to multiply that by 100. We will get a decimal for our answer to see how much this became this. So we have 486 million subtract by 50 million. That will bring us 436 million. Now we have to divide everything by 50 million. So when we do that, we are going to get a decimal of 8.72. That happens when we divide But now we have to multiply by 100. And when we multiply by 100, we get 872. But since we want it in a percent, 872%. That is very, very high. So when we get from this all the way to this, that is how much it rose in just half a year. The thing is, that 3 times multiplier, it tried to work, but it actually caused even bigger problems. So, this has soared from this to that. We can see that because 8 times 50 is 400, and the 72% left over will give us the 86 million. I hope this video has helped you understand and learn about what inflation is. Thank you for watching Top Finger Life's Math Industry. Like and subscribe.